Hello, Steve White, Steve Arts 89. Well, there's a bit of drama about the whole Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. Yes, there are a lot of haters who are just going after the show because it's a political show. It made itself political when it started talking about diversity and representation and race and everything, and that seems to be part of the marketing. But even if they didn't do that, there would have been racist fans that attacked it anyway because they can't handle representation and diversity and so forth. So even if they hadn't, because they kept saying, oh, if they didn't talk about it, we wouldn't have gotten so upset. No, you still would have gotten upset because you would have seen it. You just would have not gotten upset until you actually saw the show rather than beforehand when, they were sort of letting you know what the show was going to be like. So there's that level, but this is mostly about the numbers. Now, the problem with streaming shows is they never show numbers. They may brag occasionally about a show and say, oh, it's the biggest night we've had, the biggest premiere we've had, or something like that. And they may occasionally mention a number. Usually really successful shows like Game of Thrones will actually say how many numbers they're getting because they're so big, they're just bragging about it. But a lot of the other shows, which I guess are viewed more conservatively, they don't share those numbers, and they don't have to, apparently. Now, TV had to share its numbers, and they had to have external organisations like what was the name of that big Nelson, numbers like that, companies like that, to deal with the numbers, so that advertisers know what to pay for the shows because they know what the shows are getting in viewers, and it was all sort of fairly well defined over the decades. But streaming, it's a new thing, and the companies apparently don't have to give the numbers, so no one knows if a show's actually doing well, or if it's doing well, how well it's doing. So, but apparently there's a company called Samba who apparently seems to know who's actually how many people have actually watched, and there are some numbers. Apparently, House of the Dragon got 4.8 million viewers, which is still about half what Game of Thrones was getting, but that's fairly good. It means at least half the people came back for the prequel. But apparently, Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, only got 1.8 million. I have heard that elsewhere, so I'm guessing that's somewhere close to correct. But yeah, that's quite disappointing. That's like CW numbers. Like successful CW show will get like 1 to 2 million, or would have back in the past when CW existed in its original form. But yeah, for a show, I mean, like I said, Game of Thrones was big. It burned a lot of fans. There was the last couple of seasons were very divisive, but I expected the fan base to mostly come back, and it seems like it has. Lord of the Rings hasn't. The films were huge, but they were quite a while ago, and the Hobbit films weren't as well received. So I wasn't sure, but I sort of thought basically the same audience is going to come for that show. But it doesn't look like it has. Now, can Samba be trusted? I don't know the company. I don't know much about them. But they seem to be basing it on numbers from somewhere. So it does look like Lord of the Rings isn't doing as well as they thought. Now, whether it's a flop or not, it depends on what they're expecting, what they needed. But it does seem to not be the giant breakout hit that they were hoping for or that people expected. But with all the controversy and all the criticism from fans, some of them are racist, some of them, they just have a problem with diversity and representation, and the show made itself very political by talking about those things and promoting those things about the show rather than the story and the universe, and they focused more on the politics. And that's usually a marketing thing because they know that's going to get talk, even if it's negative. They know they're going to get people talking about it. So they're always going to get hate either way, but I thought they would have done a bit better ratings-wise if these can be trusted. So I just want to talk about that for a minute. I thought it was interesting. And everyone's saying, oh, House of Dragons is great, Lord of the Rings is awful, and the haters are out there just hating on it, and they've been hating on it since before it even came out, so that's not a surprise. But what was a bit of a surprise is that it doesn't seem like the general audience, which I didn't think was listening to them anyway, it doesn't seem like the general audience is that interested in the show. I thought it would have done huge numbers. Now, Amazon is saying it did 25 million, but show us the numbers, and that's the problem. Like, it's very easy to attack a show like a streaming service like Amazon and say you're just making up numbers to sound good, hopefully to encourage people to watch future shows and help yourself be successful. But since the numbers aren't there, we can't prove that they're low, but they can't also prove that they're high. So it's kind of a no-win situation where the critics, the shows can say whatever they want, but the critics can say whatever they want, and neither one can prove the other one wrong. So I'm going to go. I can't believe I talked over 5 minutes. I was going to try and make this a short video. But yeah, I just found it interesting. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. I still haven't watched the show. I found the films very difficult to watch, and I have insomnia and sleep deprivation, so it'd be very difficult to watch a slow, quiet show. I will fall asleep. So I've put it off. I'm going to have to watch it eventually, but I haven't yet. So I'm just looking at what everyone else is saying and just sort of observing that. I'm not making any judgments because I haven't seen the show. But I'm going to go. Bye.